minutes, by the way, before kickoff on Y98. You can catch that
They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough to retire? Well, you can discover how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class. It's called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these classes at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, everything. And there's no cost. It's free. They ask that you bring 3 canned goods for a St. Louis crisis nursery. There are a handful of openings for classes this month and next. So register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number.
Happy birthday to us. 2 surprises for you. 2 surprises from NordVPN. 2 surprises for you. Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN. We have a special birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. NordVPN is rated as excellent on PC Mag. Visit NordVPN.com and discover one of the most advanced VPNs in the world. What are the benefits? Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Receive alerts if your email address leaks to the dark web. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro tool. Encrypt your online traffic and browse with more peace of mind. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
College sports hold a mythic place in American culture, but sometimes the drama off the court overshadows the action on it.
The higher-ups are concerned about one thing, and that is avoiding scandal.
I'm Margot Gray. On the new podcast, Campus Files, we cover everything, including some of the biggest scandals in college sports. Listen to and follow Campus Files, an Odyssey original podcast, available now on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros, or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Jennifer Season, Dale Shilley back with you on the City Spotlight, previewing all things City before the home opener this Saturday against the Colorado Rapids. Well, besides the new home kit reveal, City was busy all weekend recording the City Voice podcast. They were at the City Pavilion. They also had the City Live kickoff at the factory out in Chesterfield, where players came back from California and more. Also on Sunday, City Sporting Director Lutz Pfannenstiel was a busy man, not only appearing at the live event, but also visiting with our Tom Ackerman on this past Sports on a Sunday morning. Tom started off by asking him about how Lutz and Olaf work together.
Yeah, when we signed him, it was pretty clear that we will do not what I want to do, but what the club wants to do. So when I came here in 2020, we had a clear philosophy, we had a clear DNA, what we want to do, and that's what we did from day one. But nothing is completely set in stone, and there is obviously always a little wiggle room in how you want to implement it. I always say there is the non-negotiables, and that is the hard work, that's the pressing, that's the high intensity. But when it comes to formation, when it comes to different, as I said, different details, then the coach should have that freedom. And in the end of the day, it's about winning football games. So we still believe in our identity. We believe in that what we did in the first 2 years, and we just want to improve every year, bit by bit, to actually achieve that what the city wants us to achieve, and that is being a strong contender, a strong team in the MLS.
You always had this style of being aggressive, pushing it, I would say, pushing the issue and trying to apply that pressure. Is that still what City is all about?
Still the same. The only thing which we adjusted was, and I think for us, the summer window was the big one. We added 6 players, and I would say most of them, or nearly all of them, are big impact players. You saw how Hartl, Teuchert, Becher, how they really impacted when they came. So it was now not to just, again, pump in 5, 6, 7 new players just for the sake of it. We just wanted to be smart in adding 2, 3 players, which in the detail makes us better, where we see room of improvement, where we see little gaps. And I think we did that with Timo Baumgartel and Konrad Wallem. And let's see the next few days. There is still quite a few weeks before you closing the transfer window. And if there is something coming in or something going out, that's never decided. But obviously we try to keep the group together like it is right now. So nothing really changing from the idea, from the style of play. But I think you will see us defensively a bit better organized, and you will see us attackingly just the same as we did it the years before.
How do you view the center back position right now?
I have some good numbers for you. I didn't even have to write it down because they kept me awake for like 6 months last year. We played last year, we played 11 different center backs. And we played a back 4. So there's only 2 starters as center backs. We played 11 different ones, and I don't even know the different pairings we had. It was a crazy situation last year with too many injuries. We moved players in, we moved players out, and I think now we are definitely not thin on the center back position. We have 6, 7 nominal center backs, but I think we also need that year, not just simply because of fitness reasons, but because the way also we play. And for us, I think the center back position is the key to get stability on there, to get a certain consistency as well. And with Nielsen, a very experienced player, Kessler, for me, one of the top defenders in the league, now also Timo Baumgartel, but also the other guys who were here, like Yaro and Hibbert. I think we have a really, really good cover there in all areas. And I think Roman Bürki, he's probably smiling at home right now and knowing that we're having a better structure when it comes to our defensive setup.
Is he your leader? Could you ask for a better leader than Roman Bürki?
He's definitely our leader. He's our captain. He's the face. But I believe strongly, and regardless how good Roman is, and he's the best in the business, we need more than one leader. We need players who are not just good when the game is flowing. We need players who really get in there when things are not going well, who say something to the players, who be active in the changing room, who keep communication, not just with the players, but also with the coaches. And if that all comes down to just the goalkeeper, who is pretty far away from the rest of the action, I think then we are not in a good shape. So we need players who step up. We need players who want to lead. But at the same time, we need to create leaders. We have lots of younger players who have that potential, And I think that's up to me and up to the coaching staff to create our own leaders within our own ranks.
You have a handful of players who have actually played together since they were very young. Is that not only good on the pitch, but also behind the scenes? Maybe they'll hold each other accountable. They don't mind saying what they need to say.
No, it's great. I mean, the German section, they all played together in the under-21 national team 6-7 years ago. They all did well. The guys know each other. Some of them also played together, club football for many years. So it helps with the understanding. But then at the same time, we are watching also very closely that it doesn't create some groups because you don't want to have smaller groups of players who always stick together. And we have a group of really nice people. I always say they are nice boys.
Yeah.
And they mix really well. So it doesn't matter where you're from or if you knew each other before. There is a really good momentum and a really good atmosphere within the team. But then again, you don't always want to be just nice, because if you're only nice, people step on you. So when it comes to be on the field, we sometimes also need to be not that nice and actually show our teeth, get out there, fight and bite and scratch if we have to. And I think that's something where we worked a lot on also in recent weeks, that not just be a good group of people, but fight to survive. And we have a clear goal this year. I think Carolyn was very clear a few months ago before Christmas that she said nothing other than making the playoffs is acceptable. And 100% agree. We have a good team. I think we gelled very well. We showed towards the end of the season what we are capable of. And then again, touch wood. Don't know if this is a wooden table, but I just touched it. That we don't have that crazy run of injuries like last year. And if we keep our players fit, then I'm a strong believer that we will have a good season.
The door frame and window frame behind you is wood. If you want to hit that. But I remember maybe you need somebody to pick you low in the conference or pick you towards or last. I felt that really was a big deal. I know I asked you about this last week, but I'll ask it again. The edge that you felt at that time, that there was some fire in City. They did not like that. You felt disrespected as this little expansion team that was just going to come into big bad MLS, and you did some damage. Do you need to manufacture that again? How do you do that?
I'm not a big believer in looking at the predictions. I usually ask John Gasparoni to do that for me. And unfortunately, make the players angry by looking at prediction won't work, because everybody sees us pretty decent this year. Mm. But I agree. I'm looking at San Diego right now, which is the new expansion teams, and we saw them play now in Coachella quite a few times, and nobody took them really serious. But yesterday, that all changed. They beat Red Bull, the finalists from last year, 6-0. Preseason game, but still score 6 goals against Red Bull. You must have a good team. So I'm pretty sure they got angry early on when people don't take them serious. If I think back there 2 years ago, it was great for us, because not just me, everybody felt underrated. Everybody felt disrespected. Everybody felt, well, I'm going out there and I show you what we can do. And looking at the team we started in the first 2-3 games and looking at our roster now, there is not that many players left, because we did overperform in year one, simply because everybody wanted to prove everybody else out there outside St. Louis wrong. And I think for this year, it's a similar thing. We underperformed last year, and regardless of any excuses we can make with injuries or whatever it was, we didn't achieve the goal which we had. And let's be fair, looking at numbers, if you win the Western Conference in year one and you don't make the playoffs in year two, nobody really cares about what were the circumstances. The only thing what people care about is that we didn't make it. And that's my opinion as well. So I'm still pretty much pissed off about it, and I think it's a new year. It's up for us to prove ourselves new again. And I think that's the beauty, Tom, that bringing in a new head coach who doesn't really care who did what before, because he gets his own impressions in a 6 weeks or 7 weeks preseason. I think that is the the way players have no choice to sit on the sofa, smoke a cigar, and say, "Well, I was great 2 years ago." Olaf Melberg, he can't care less. He wants the team to be successful. He doesn't care about names or goals from the years before. He cares about that what he sees right now and in preseason. So everybody needs to prove themselves. Everybody needs to show themselves at their best. And it's a nice saying. You only make a first impression once, and that's the same thing when you bring a new coach. Nothing else counts anymore. And I think that's kept the players on the toes during preseason.
That was Lutz Pfannenstiel speaking with Tom Ackerman at Sports on a Sunday Morning, coming off of California, having plenty of events throughout the weekend, and hasn't lost any spunk when it comes to how City ended the season, Dale.
Lutz just got off the plane, so he was he was a little agitated. The point that Lutz makes about the team needing to play with an edge, I think, is a really good one, and Olaf plays into that really well as well. He has a way of as Lutz said, not caring about who the player is or what they've done in the past. He's really about what have you done lately? What have you done for me? How hard are you working? How are you contributing? And this year, when you look at the roster and you look at the number of players, the number of quality players that the team has, he's got some flexibility with who's in the first 11 and who's not. He has some depth. There's some real quality there. So if you're not working hard, if you're not playing in the way that the team wants to play, in the way Olaf and the club wants you to play, you're going to find yourself sitting on the sideline. And you have to have that if you're going to take the jump back into a playoff competitive arena like we were 2 years ago versus where we were last year.
All right. Well, more to come. We've done so much already, from the kit reveal to the City Voice podcast at the City Pavilion, City Live Party at the Factory. City fans have been kicking off the season all weekend long, yet there's more. We'll talk about the new food coming to Energizer Park with Chef Gerard Kraft, a season preview with City President and GM Diego Gigliani, and of course, an update from California preseason. We're going to hear live with City center back Henry Kessler. That's at 7:35. And maybe, just maybe, a special message from our favorite play-by-play announcer on Y98, Joey Zanaboni. All this after the news. Stay with us for hour number 2 of the City Spotlight right here on KMOX.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because
ready for a new season. Here are Matt's reports from Redbird Camp, mornings and afternoons, and on Sports Open Line, on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX.
Hour number 2, except this one's a full hour of the City Spotlight. Jen C's here, your host, along with co-hosting with Dale Schilly, our St. Louis City Academy Director and game analyst on Y98. We're going to go straight to our guest this first hour. We've got a lot to cover besides the fact that it's really cold, and we really could have used that warm weather from Dave coming on Saturday instead of Monday. Yeah, Dale?
Yeah, it's training this week is definitely moving indoors.
Woo-hoo. Well, joining us now, I got to see him earlier today, Gerard Kraft, a James Beard award-winning chef, City's chief flavor officer. That's a different kind of CFO. I just saw him earlier today at the City Flavor tasting event. Gerard, it was a tasting, but I felt like I had a full meal, and it was so good. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I actually got to eat too. It was awesome.
Really, 4 new food partner fans can choose from at Energizer Park, along to at least today that we got to see a couple of the old top sellers. Tell us a little bit about the new guys coming in.
Yeah, so for the old guard, we had Balkan and Steves in there who have consistently been the top 2 sellers at the stadium, which is amazing. And for the new ones, we brought in a mix of people you all probably know, and a couple of rising stars that maybe you haven't heard of yet, but that are just absolutely amazing. So we'll start with Pappy's Smokehouse, which I think everybody knows.
Yeah, they're good. It was delicious.
Yeah, they've done some things. Bolliard's Butcher Shop from Maplewood, who's a local butcher with all local meat, but also really well known now for the amazing food they serve at their butcher shop. Chris Bolliard's a classically trained chef who was the CDC of Sydney Street Cafe, amongst other places. Chicken Scratch, who Nate Hereford and Christina Hereford have started a rotisserie chicken, but also fried chicken shop. They have one at the City Foundry and one in Glendale. And they're going to be doing fried chicken sandwiches and chicken tenders. Amazing stuff. And Damn Fine Hand Pies, which is like a real newcomer to the scene this year.
Yeah, that was interesting. I felt like I had in one of the pastries, it was kind of a meal, and then another pastry was a dessert.
Yeah. And I mean, they've really been blowing people's minds this year over in the Shaw neighborhood with savory ham pies savory and sweet ham pies. They do both. But I think today was buffalo chicken, but you'll see all sorts of other flavors. Great handheld, portable food with an amazing flaky pastry crust. And then donuts. And they had their City Red donut with them today that was just, it was so good. I kept going back for it. I love them. They have a lot of fun with their product, and I think that side of the stadium is just going to be a great place to be hanging out over by the supporters.
Gerard, you let us know who was the winner from years past with the most activity and the most sales. Who's going to be the winner this year? You have a prediction for us?
I mean, honestly, Vulcan and Steves are the one to beat. Yeah. Those guys just crush it. They were the number 1 voted in partners when we put it out to the fans, and the fans really just support them. And I don't know, it's always a toss up, but it's going to be a tough one to beat those two.
So the guys that come back for they return the next year, do they have a new menu? Do they keep the same menus? How does do you know that?
We don't really have a say. We try not to, force them in any direction. We're bringing in the best in town, and we want them to do, what they want to be doing. And I think people are always trying to add new stuff to their menus, change it up just a little bit to keep the fans excited when they come back. So I would expect to see a lot of favorites, but also a lot of new items on the menu throughout. And I think one of this adds to the reason that we're one of the only stadiums in MLS where people show up 90 minutes early to the match just to eat.
Yeah, that was an interesting stat that you and Matt talked about when you kind of kicked off the event. Matt Seebeck, who I think might be just as busy as any other member of the city staff.
Busy man.
Yeah, he's everywhere. But a couple of stats that he threw out there today, I thought was really interesting. That the push mobile and order ahead as like 23% as compared to a league average of 1%. Like how incredible that is, that people are like, I know what I want and I want to get my order in, and that 60% of the business is done before kickoff. And I think you guys were talking about like maybe by the end of the halftime is kind of the rest of the 40%. What does that say to a fan who's like, oh my gosh, I want to go this time and I want to try this? What are their chances?
I mean, always come early. I think that's part of the fun at Energizer Park, is that people come early, they eat. It's kind of a social time for everybody. It's like nothing I've ever seen. But that's really what we want. We don't mind if people start kind of selling out of certain things by the end of halftime, because we want people coming in early and filling that stadium and getting the energy going for the match.
Yeah, and Matt mentioned too that there was one more, I didn't know the term actually, frictionless. I always call it walk in, walk out, or I also call it, I feel like I'm stealing the markets that you just walk in and kind of pick your things. So the people who, eventually if you don't have what you want, or you don't have the time, or you didn't get your order in, there are plenty of other places to get food, and cities answered the call to that by adding another market where you can just get something. And I'm thinking of my 9-year-old right now, Gerard, when it comes to her, fifth ask for food and she's not watching the game.
Yeah, and you can pop into those things, grab your, beer, soda, whatever, but also in those frictionless markets, we have Pie Guy and Wally's, so you can get, a split hot dog or, a great slice of pizza and be in and out in less than a minute and a half.
What are you most excited for then with opening day? I mean, it kind of is a test for some of these new sellers to Steve's has been around, Balkan's done it, but for these new sellers, it's going to be a test for them on how to have the inventory and be ready for when people are wanting their food.
Yeah, those first few matches is really, we're just there to support them. We do, you'll see me running around the stadium, running errands for people, grabbing things they need. It's really just about supporting the new partners and helping them get to a place where they're super comfortable.
That's awesome. Gerard, thanks for joining us tonight. Don't ever be afraid, by the way. Dale was not there today. If you have some extra food or you guys just want to make a rotation up to the media booth, we will not turn the food away. Right, Dale?
That's right. But Mark does a good job feeding us as well.
We'll take it anytime.
Well, the request is heard. We'll be up there.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. That was Gerard Kraft. He's city's chief flavor officer, running around. He's going to make sure that everything tastes and smells great at the stadium and is ready for everybody. By the way, if you didn't know, if you have the app, which a lot of people do, you can use your City Pay. You can use that every seller at City Stadium. There's a loyalty points program. You can use it there. And looking forward to all the smells, Dale, that we're going to smell on Saturday.
And I think the one thing I did get was from the Balkan box.
There you go.
And it was special. And I remember telling a few family members and some friends that they needed to stop by there. I don't know if they did, but it was good.
That's right. And luckily they'll be back. More to come at that City Flavor tasting. I got a chance to catch up with Diego Gigliani, president and GM of St. Louis City SC. We'll check in on what he had to say at the tasting about preseason, the upcoming season, and more. More to come on the City Spotlight on KMOX.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Don't miss these upcoming shows. Get tickets and info
but it's not present in that way. No, and that's really healthy, I think, for a dressing room to feel united and not part of like separate groups.
Yeah. So hopes on the season, of course, to win, right? We know his city wants to win, of course, make the playoffs, come out with 3 points on game one. But coming off of season one, where City had an unusually, I would say, a successful season results-wise for a expansion team, coming off a second season that was riddled with challenges from injuries to changing coaches. What is the focus then on trying to have not only the results, but what does a successful season look like for City this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to arrive midway through the first season, so I was able to see from July onwards how that first season was experienced in firsthand. Obviously, it was a fairy tale first year. Second year was the opposite of that. We had a really difficult season. Anytime you're needing to change your coach midway through the season and end up many points away from playoffs is a bad season. So we've already experienced the highs and the lows. And now when we go into season 3, we know that we have objectives and we know that we need to qualify for playoffs. That is what we want as a team. And beyond that, what we want long-term is to be there to compete for winning trophies. It obviously starts with improving our team, both on the player side and on the coaching side. Those are some of the decisions we took starting last summer. And then it becomes giving those new players and coach a little bit of time to adapt to MLS, get to know each other, learn from what our new coach wants to implement in terms of his ideas of playing. And hopefully, as quick as possible, we can get through that adaptation phase and be in a position where we're able to compete week in, week out, and get us to that goal of qualifying for playoffs.
Of course, City fans, it's going to be cold on Saturday. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. It's cold today here on a Tuesday. There's snow. Kids are missing school all week. Any worries that City fans won't show up?
You know, if I was in any other MLS team, maybe I would. But I've been spoiled here with our fans. I know that they show up in not just in games or important games like this one is, but in a smaller event, they turn up in numbers. No, so of course it is going to be cold. I would say that every morning we have people that look at the weather forecast in detail, and they tell us that it's improving every day what Saturday looks like. Now, I mean, I'm not expecting 70 degrees, but as long as people are able to still come early enough to enjoy everything that we put on before the game, have a great time watching the game, be able to eat and stay warm, that will be a success. And I'm very sure that we're going to have an amazing turnout, especially given it's our first game. And we know there's a little bit of rivalry with Colorado. I've learned this already. So hopefully that will get some fans fired up and wanting to come.
That was Diego Gigliani, president and GM of St. Louis City SC. As you heard at the end, he's pretty positive about fans turning out at a frigid Saturday, Dale.
Yeah, and it hasn't taken Diego long to figure out the St. Louis fan about how animated they are about the team and how excited they are about the sport and how they're passionate about supporting the group of guys that go out and fight for them every day. And I think he's right. People are going to turn up regardless of what the weather's like.
All right, more to come. We're going to wait on a call from Henry Kessler, favorite City center back, who is not here in the frigid weather. They wisely stayed in California. He's going to join us next on the City Spotlight on KMOX.
If you want to know what's happening with your St. Louis Cardinals, then you need to get the inside scoop from the Gas House Gang every weekday at noon.
Saliga Heating and Cooling and Game Day Men's Health on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX. It's women's Billikens basketball action tomorrow night as they face Dayton. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7. Hear the game here on your home for Billikens basketball, KMOX.
The City Spotlight rolls on. Jen C's here with you. Dale Schilly alongside. Coming up next, we're going to be talking with Henry Kessler, City center back, who is not in St. Louis at this point in time. Dale, he is. I know you were out in California a bit. It's much nicer there, no?
Yeah. It was a tough call for everybody to make to stay out there, but it was certainly the right one, I think. And for sure for the players, a better environment to train in. I don't know where they would have trained or how they would have trained
No way.
to prepare for the game on Saturday night.
No way. Well, some of the players came back and were able to join everybody at the factory out in Chesterfield. But one of those who we missed, but we did get to see him on video saying hello. By the way, they all love that. Henry Kessler joins us now, center back for St. Louis City. Henry, thanks for joining us from a much warmer California than it is in St. Louis.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, much warmer indeed.
It would have been so much fun, I know, for you guys to have been back at some relatively decent weather. I will tell you that your guys' message was received really well. Everybody was very excited. It really felt like almost like a mini city park over at the factory. You were definitely missed.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we wish we could have been there. But, given the crazy weather, I think it makes sense that we're still out here training in preparation for Colorado, but obviously, wish we could have made the event as well.
So tell us, we've gotten some updates here and there from either coach or people who've been out in training. You're still in preseason, so to speak, training it, grinding through the games, of course, by now. How is everything going? How is the team reacting? And what are you most excited about what you see so far?
Yeah, it's going well. It's slowed down a little bit. We, started with a lot of double sessions. So we're working really hard. And since then, we've gone back to single sessions, which is nice. Obviously the games are done with, so no more dress rehearsals. And looking forward to getting to Energizer Park and playing in front of our fans again. But the group looks good, looks solid. Just looking forward to, playing competitive games again.
Henry, how are you adjusting to the new coach? Olaf Melberg is now at the helm with the team. You've had to experience coaching changes in the past. How is the transition going for you? How's it going for the team?
Yeah, I was thinking this preseason, how many coaches I've actually had now. And I think that this will be my 6th year in MLS, and this will be my 6th club coach. So that's crazy. But it's been great with Olaf. Obviously, he's someone that played center back, and so I feel like in particular he can help me a lot. And I've learned a lot from him already, and I expect to learn more and more.
I asked actually in the preseason interviews, talked a little bit with Josh Yarrow, who said, it's kind of simultaneously awesome, right, to have your coach having played your position at a high level, but at the same time, you feel a little pressure about that. But you also know that the advice that's being given really comes from a true place of understanding the challenges and the expectations of that kind of position. Do you feel that way as well?
I 100% see what Josh is saying there. Yeah, it might not be more pressure, but he's going to be very particular for that position. Like his expectations might be a little higher. If that's probably what Josh was saying. But yeah, so that's his expertise. So anyone's expertise, they're going to be a little bit more critical, which is a good thing. That's exactly what I want. Learn as much as possible. But I definitely see what Josh is saying there.
Henry, when we saw Coach Hackworth come in a year ago, we saw the team have a little bit different style of play. Now that Olaf is in, and you've been through where the team was, at the end of the year last year, the second half of the season last year, and now seeing preseason this year, do you see things changing a little bit in terms of how the team sets up or what we look like in terms of our style, or do you think things are pretty similar?
There will be some similarities and some differences. I think, we've been looking at playing a back 4, sometimes a back 5 as well. So we'll see Saturday what we roll out with. So that could be one potential difference, but there are a lot of similarities as well, and most of the players are the same now too. We had a lot of changes in the summer, myself included, but it's been pretty much apart from a few guys, it's been pretty much the same group we have here. So that's one thing that's been consistent.
I'm glad you said that about the 5-back. I was going to ask you that. I haven't personally played that system ever myself, and I would imagine the adjustment is more than just adding a player in the back. For a center back, what kinds of things do you find yourself having to adjust when you're either adding a player in the 5-back or you're subtracting a player in a 3-back? What kinds of adjustments does a center back have to think about when that happens?
Yeah, it's been a shifting. So shifting in the back line has been a theme. How far do you go to one side? Do you stay more centrally? So that's something that we've been working on. And it's just a different system. So like anything, it's going to take a little time to get used to.
Henry, this weekend, the home opener versus the Colorado Rapids. They have a game this evening, I believe, a Champions Cup game versus LAFC. Will you watch the game? How do you approach those situations of, do you watch them to prepare yourself, or do you stay away from that and rely on the scouts and the coaches to help you get prepared?
No, I'll watch the game tonight. So I'm intrigued to see how they line up tonight. Obviously, LAFC are a really good team too, so it should be a fun game to watch. But also from a studying perspective, it should be good for our preparation.
I got to ask too, you're in California, which has obviously different weather. I think you guys, if I have it right, are coming back Thursday. I know we have our press conference with you on Friday. Not a ton of time to adjust to. It should be nicer than it is today on Saturday, but not as nice as it's going to be on Monday. Any kind of preparation you do to know that I'm training in this environment, but I'm gonna have to go perform at my highest level in this environment. And, also, by the way, shift 2 time zones back to where you are used to being. Is that going to be a challenge for you or the team?
So as far as the time zones go, the MLS travel is crazy. So we're used to that one. But the weather, I don't think it will be too challenging on a little sports science front. I was told that unless you have 2 weeks to adapt to an environment, this goes for altitude, heat, anything like that, you actually want to arrive as close to the game as possible. So I don't think it will be an issue just because you don't have the proper time to acclimate. And if that's the case, you just actually want to get there for the match. So I think we'll be all right. I don't think it should be too frigid Saturday. And I think a lot of the guys are used to playing in the cold. So I think we'll be okay.
Well, last but not least, can't leave out those City fans. I asked Diego, we've asked around, and everybody's pretty positive. No matter what the weather temperature is going to be, the fans are going to show up. Are you excited to be back at City Park? Or, I'm sorry, gosh, Energizer Park. I got to fix that. Be excited to be at Energizer Park.
Yeah, first game with the new title. We're very excited. I'm sure it'll be sold out, even if it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So it will be awesome to see everyone.
That's awesome. Henry, safe travels back. Can't wait to see you back on the pitch here at Energizer Park in St. Louis.
Thank you so much, guys.
That was Henry Kessler. Love hearing that. A little sports science. Who knew?
Yeah. Well,
arrive as close to the game so your body doesn't know anything's changed.
Yeah. And look, if we're going to get something of that level of intrigue from any of the guys in the roster, Henry would be the one that would know that detail. He's sharp. He's studied. He's going to be a coach someday.
That's awesome. We'll be excited to have him and the team, of course, come back to St. Louis. More to come. We've got one more segment to go, and there's somebody that's on the broadcast, but that's not in this room that we have yet to hear from. He's going to be next. We'll talk to him, or actually hear from him as he's traveling back from his offshore travels. He's traveling back to St. Louis. Joey Zanaboni. We'll hear from him next on KMOX.
Since 1991, St. Louis has served as the gateway to the best men's basketball tournament.
and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
I'm Scott Jagow. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Wrapping up the City Spotlight on KMOX, Jen Cease and Dale Schilly here with you. You know, it's not only preseason for the players where you're shaking off the rust. It's preseason for myself as I remind myself to call City Park Energizer Park. And by the way, apologies to Gerard Kraft for saying Gerard Butler. I know that actor
Gerard
for a long time.
Butler.
Or
Yeah.
Gerard Butler. I hope you can cook as well as Gerard Kraft. But everybody's shaking off the rust and getting into the flow of things. I'm sure there will probably be some other things that, you know, whether it's calling a player by the wrong name or forgetting who's in what position or remembering that, you know, we have a different coach at the helm and some of those things roll off the tongue so quickly. You know, there's somebody, Dale, missing that you and I are used to seeing every single game. Joey Zanaboni is the play-by-play call. He has all kinds of what we call Joeyisms or Zanaboni-isms, and he has been traveling back from his baseball call escapades in Dubai, of course, caught in some of that, you know, air traffic, being stuck in Canada, making his way, I believe, by train to the St. Louis area. But he did call in to give everybody a message.
Hey, City fans, Joey Z here. I cannot wait to be with you on Y98 Saturday, 7 pregame show, 7:30 first kick as we start season 3 St. Louis City SC. I'm on an epic journey right now from Dubai to Toronto, Canada, all the way by rail back to St. Louis, Missouri. And I just want to say, I miss you, Jen and Dale. Can't wait to do the games with you this year. Won't be long before we're all saying this.
City
Now that's, can I just tell you, of all the late games you and Joey have done, I have never heard him so tired than his voice just sounded.
Well, I just want to know if they hit a lot of home runs over in Dubai. Did he give it one of his?
Is it leads for that?
Well,
I don't
he hit a
know.
home run.
So Joey Zanaboni will be on the call, of course, and as he said, it starts always 30 minutes prior to kickoff. So, you know, you do the math on that this Saturday. It's 7 p.m. Dale, what besides? I will be honest. I'm not that excited about freezing in it. It's one thing to play. It's another thing to stand there and either coach or freeze or whatever. Probably not excited about that part, but definitely excited to be back in the park.
Yeah, just the atmosphere walking into the stadium. You know, the 6 o'clock when the gates open and the fans come in, that's a pretty special
For food,
moment.
apparently, we learned.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a special moment when you start seeing people running in the supporters section, trying to get the best standing area that they want, seeing people congregate in the corners, looking over the field, and it's always special. And to see Energizer as the sponsor for the facility, the bunny, as a new look to the stadium. So it's going to be special. And, you know, really when you just start seeing the guys warming up, it's awesome. It's a great feeling. I'll remember the home opener was at Charlotte. And it's just brings us back to some really good times and great memories.
You know, we've got a couple minutes left. I feel like the media has done a pretty good job of asking Coach Melberg, you know, about defense. That makes a ton of sense. And of course, the attack, right? Those are things to dial in from last season. But I haven't heard anybody talk about what Olaf's midfield transition might look like. There's a bunch of ways you can do it. I didn't know if you were able to see anything when you were watching of what we might expect from the team.
Well, I think the biggest thing is we don't know. We haven't seen the full roster come together yet. We haven't seen really a first 11. Even in the last closed door scrimmage versus San Jose, we didn't see the full group together. And one of the big contributors that we've known in the past that I know is one of your favorites, Chris Durkin, has been injured and hasn't been able to train yet. And he is the guy that is one that starts that transition because he's so hard on the defending side. He's such a ball winner and direct in the way that he plays. So yeah, I mean, I think we want to see the same. We want to see transition, but we haven't seen the group come together yet.
You know, and there's a couple of other terms that, you know, it's quick when you're getting to know people. With Coach Carnell, we next man up was a quick phrase we all kind of learned. With Coach Melberg, it's been nonstop player, which we've learned that it's not just running around for 90 minutes. It's staying dialed in mentally and staying on that. And of course, him also referring to, rest defense. And it was interesting because it wasn't a term that I particularly grew up. It was basically just like your second line of attack, the people who weren't involved on the ball, be ready to win the ball kind of a deal. And I thought that was really interesting when it comes from the German saying, I can't pronounce the word, George could do it, but that doesn't mean that you're at rest. It means what you have left over. Like the people who are not in action are still needing to be in action. Am I doing that right?
Almost
Is that the right thing?
Almost like the rest.
Right.
Defense.
The rest of your attack
the
attack
rest
is
of
the
you are
defense.
defending. Yeah. I think that's a little bit of an indicator that we may be on the ball a little bit.
I think possession might go up.
Well, when you look at Teuscher, Hardo, Leuven, and some of the guys that have come in over the year, Giannis Horn, you're talking Totland, you're talking about guys that are good on the ball and have the ability to play through midfield and play through some tight spaces. So if they are able to stay on the ball, then the guys at the back have to be organized, rest, defend to help prevent the counterattacks and hopefully start some sort of counterattack when we do lose it. So it may be an indicator when he's talking about rest defense. He might be showing his hand a little bit that we might be on the ball for a while.
That might be interesting to watch. We're not going to be able to see it in one game, but what those possession numbers might look up against. You always do your pregame, right? And we have yet to do that. Do you have like one quick indicator of what we're looking for with Colorado?
Well, I'm going to get it tonight when I watch, but Jordy Mihalovic, remember, he scored 2 or 3 goals against us the last time we saw Colorado in St. Louis. So they've got a good team, and Mihalovic is their leader.
Well, it's been a busy show tonight. Thanks, Dale, for co-hosting with me tonight. I could get used to this. Thanks to Kyle Sixta on the controls, as always. If you missed any part of the City Spotlight, you can always find it free on the Odyssey app under the podcast section. Also, it has any previous City content like preseason player interviews. It'll have stuff from our game. Consider it your one-stop shop reference for all things City on KMOX and Y98. The first 2025 MLS regular season game for St. Louis City this Saturday against the Colorado Rapids. 7 p.m. pregame on Y98. Kickoff at 7:30 at Energizer Park. You've been listening to America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
The Rockwood School District has openings and is looking for people who enjoy working with kids, child nutrition, cafeteria workers, custodial